the drama that I have with technology, I've got this microphone that you gave me. I've got it. The cord keeps slipping out because it's not tight enough, not firm enough, and it keeps popping out. So I've got it tied on with a rubber band, an elastic band.
Can you wedge a tiny scrap of paper or something in the connector so that it kind of wedges itself in? Like, do you think that would work?
I could try that. Anyway, if you're joining us, you are listening to Tell Me Where I'm Going Wrong. It is a podcast, and it is very lo-fi DIY. And
Low budget. No budget.
Josh and I are talking about our dodgy equipment and our dodgy setups. And do you know what? I think it's okay. I think, obviously, if we get any sort of sizable listenership, we will be expected to maybe invest in some equipment. But everything that I'm currently using to record this podcast is either given to me by you, or I found it, or like this. I don't even know where this elastic band came from.
Do you like, I don't know if you're like this, but like, you know, when you get, say, spring onions in the supermarket, or salad onions, I think people call them in other parts of the world, and they have elastic bands. Do you save all those elastic bands?
I don't. I know what you mean. I don't buy spring onions that much where I hoard
there
them.
must be other things that you buy in the supermarket, and they have rubber bands, elastic bands. Is it elastic bands in Australia? Because
I don't know. I think we say rubber bands.
We say rubber bands here, don't we, in England? I get so confused because obviously I'm born and raised in England, but lived in Australia for 10 years and lived with Australians for so long. I get so confused now sometimes about whether something is Australian or English.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Usage. I've got no clue.
All the time. Like when I say, do you say lift or elevator?
I say lift.
And that's an English thing, isn't it? Lift.
Yeah.
Because when we get in the building that we live in, when you get into the lift or the elevator, it has an announcement and it tells you which direction that carriage is going. So it'll say lift going down or lift going up. Mm-hmm. And Hill likes to mimic it, but he thinks it says this going up, this going down. So whenever we get into the lift, he says this going down. And I'm like, no, it's lift. And he's like, I know, but it sounds like this. But growing up in Australia, I can't remember if we said lift or elevator. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I've just forgotten.
I in my memory, because Australia, they use a lot of Americanisms in Australia, I think. So I've got a feeling you might say elevator. I don't know that.
Well, I remember when I was a kid. Do you remember there was that Aerosmith song called Love in an Elevator?
Love in Elevator, yeah.
Love in an Elevator.
I've got a funny story about that song in a minute, but yeah.
Oh, really? I remember that song, and I don't remember it being weird that it was called that. Like, I didn't think, oh, well, that's like culturally incorrect or something. Like, I just remember thinking, oh yeah, they're talking about getting sexy in an elevator or whatever I thought at that age.
Going down in an elevator.
Yeah, going down, living it up while, what's the lyric? Living it up while we're going down.
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
I love it.
What do you think of Aerosmith?
There's that song. There's obviously the what's the smash it? Yeah, close my eyes just to watch you sleeping. What's that? Don't want to close my eyes.
What movie was that from?
Don't want to miss a thing. That's the song I was trying to think of. There's
another Diane Warren classic.
Mm-hmm. So there are those two, but I'm trying to think what else
was that song from.
I don't know, but his daughter was in it, wasn't she? Liv Tyler. She was in the film.
Was it with what's his name? Like, who was married to Jennifer Lopez twice?
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck was in that, whatever that movie was. Was it Armageddon?
It might have been. It could have been, yeah. But apart from those two songs, what?
Well, I suppose maybe my age group, the biggest sort of hit that they were known for, and it was sort of their resurgence, was "Walk This Way" with Run DMC.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So to me, that's kind of like, well, definitely before the Armageddon song, that would have been their signature tune, as far as I know.
Yeah, that's true.
And
That's true.
then,
Name another song by Aerosmith.
what was it? Janie's Got a Gun. Is that Aerosmith? It's
Might
that,
have been. Yeah, I know the song. Yeah, I can hear it. Janie's got a gun. Um,
and it's about
I
like
think it's Aerosmith. I don't know actually. I'm not sure.
and
But
and it.
what I was gonna say, the funny story is when I went to, I talk about this trip a lot on this podcast for some reason, but when I went to Disney World in Orlando a long time ago, 7 years ago or whatever,
Yeah.
for my niece's birthday, there's a roller coaster, the Aerosmith roller coaster,
Where?
and in Disney World in Orlando, there's the Aerosmith roller coaster, and so when you go in, in like theme parks, like they have all of this stuff in the queuing experience to make it, to entertain you while you're standing in line for an hour or
Yeah.
whatever. And part of it was this skit that they'd filmed with Aerosmith, and Ileana Douglas was playing their manager.
Why?
I don't know. And there was this whole like skit that kept playing on repeat, and it was them in the studio, and they re-recorded "Love in an Elevator" to be "Love on a Roller Coaster," and it was so stupid and camp and funny. I loved it, and I love Ileana Douglas as well. Like I
What
loved
has
her.
Ileana Douglas been in?
6 Feet Under. She was so good in 6 Feet Under.
What was the character she played in
She
that?
played not an undertaker. She played like a makeup artist who came in, like a restorative makeup artist who came in and had an affair with Rico. And
Okay.
she was just I mean, yeah, 6 feet. I could do a whole podcast on 6 Feet Under actually.
Wasn't she in that movie with Nicole Kidman where was it something to do with ice skating, or did Nicole Kidman murder someone and put them under the ice or something? And I can remember Ileana Douglas ice skating.
No, I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't know what else I've seen her. I've seen her on 30 Rock.
What was she on 30 Rock?
Hang on, actually, now I'm second guessing myself. Have I seen her on 30 Rock? Or do they reference her in 30 Rock? Like, this is like just such an unresearched thing as is typical of this podcast,
Yeah.
but on one episode of 30 Rock, don't they say, like, between cuts or between takes, there's someone like there is a scene in the studio and on the loudspeaker, like on the tannoy system, and they're saying paging crew for the Ileana Douglas talk show or something like that. Like maybe they reference her, but maybe she's actually not in it.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I could be completely wrong. So I don't know what else she's been in.
Well, I knew I remembered this Nicole Kidman thing. To Die For is a 1995 satirical black comedy film directed by Gus Van Sant. It stars Nicole Kidman, Joaquin Phoenix, and Matt Dillon, with Ileana Douglas, Wayne Knight, who we've mentioned on here before in the Jurassic episode, Casey Affleck, Kurtwood Smith, and a few other people. Anyway.
To Die For, I think I've seen that.
And the plot follows Suzanne Stone, an ambitious New Hampshire woman with dreams of becoming a celebrity who will stop at nothing until she achieves fame on TV. It's like a dark comedy.
Okay.
With
what year? What year did you say?
95.
95. Okay.
And I saw it at the cinema when it came out, and it has music by Danny Elfman.
Okay.
And I don't know. I don't remember it being spectacular, but I remember thinking Ileana Douglas was amazing in it.
Okay.
And I don't know, like Nicole Kidman's a bit of a weird one for me in that I really like her and I like a lot of stuff that she's done, but she kind of is so famous now.
And she,
does it overpower the character she plays?
Maybe, but also like she's so prolific. Like she does so much stuff. I mean, she must never have any time off. I see her popping up in so many things. Like she's got about 3 films out at the moment. I think she's in. There was this thing on Netflix that I just watched. A 6-part series I think that I watched. She's just everywhere.
Well, wasn't she in another Netflix thing with Uh, was it on Netflix or was it in the cinema where she was having an affair with was it the character played by Zac Efron maybe?
Oh,
But she's
yeah, I
in
don't know.
she's in everything. I think
I
the
didn't
only
see that.
person that works harder than Nicole Kidman is Nicole Kidman's wig stylist because her wigs and her hair
Yeah,
every film is different. She's one of those sort of almost like a character actor who takes transformations and to the extreme where she has to embody that person.
yeah, yeah,
And like kind of like what Charlize Theron did in Monster. You know, it's like it's got to be like Nicole Kidman isn't afraid to look messy or scrappy or
yeah,
sweaty or
yeah,
ugly to play. But I can't. She has been in so many movies, but
yeah,
I kind of just feel like when I see her, I often just see Nicole Kidman.
yeah, yeah. But is that the same with anyone? Is that the same with, I don't know, Meryl Streep? Um, I don't know. Like, is it just, or is it particular to Nicole Kidman? Do you think because Meryl Streep, she everyone knows her, but you don't know a lot about her sort of private life.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas because obviously Nicole and Tom were an item for so long and such a famous couple, do you think she's sort of become this character within herself, and then it's hard for the audience to separate that from the character she's playing?
Yeah. Well, is saying that we don't know anything about Meryl Streep's personal life. Is it true that she's dating Martin Short? Is that true?
I don't know. I don't know anything about her personal life. That's what I mean. Like I don't. Not that I really know anything about Nicole's personal life these days, apart from I
Well,
assume she's still with Keith Urban. But
Keith Urban, her mysterious children with Tom Cruise that she's not allowed to see anymore.
hmm
What a life! What an absolute. I mean, we also spoke about one of her other movies in the Twin Peaks episode when we talked about Billy Zane because he was in Dead Calm,
oh yeah, but
which
that was way back in
yeah,
early Nicole career, wasn't it?
I mean that might have been his first movie role, I think,
Maybe,
Billy Zane.
maybe.
But she's been in some real clangers as well, like Stepford Wives remake was
I don't think I ever saw that.
terrible. What did you think of that witch movie she was in? What was that witchy thing she was in?
Which one?
Spell. Oh, what's it called? You know, she played a
But
witch, and it was a
didn't she?
comedy.
Didn't they make? Am I imagining this? But didn't they do a Bewitched like reboot, maybe, or a film with
Oh,
Nicole Kidman?
maybe, but the one I'm thinking of is Practical Magic. Is that what it was called?
Oh, that rings a bell.
Is that even? I actually haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's
I haven't
really a
seen it.
witch movie, but I'm just assuming it was a witch movie.
Yeah, I haven't
But
seen it.
is she's not typecast because she does so many movies. She just does every type of movie. Uh,
What would be your top Nicole Kidman performance? Do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what I've seen her in that I can really remember being blown away by. I mean, what is she in that? I mean, the things I remember her in, like she was in one of those Batman movies, was she?
Was she?
I think she was in a Batman movie.
Probably.
Was
She's
she in one with
probably
George Clooney, maybe?
possibly.
And
I don't
then
know.
Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Um, who knows? Like if we
I,
pulled up a list of her
but what about
movies,
TV? Like I really liked the what was that thing? Big Little Lies. Is that what
Bad
it was
Little
called?
Liars or something.
Something like that. You know, with oh, who else was in it? Like Laura Dern, Reese Witherspoon. Who else was in that?
I don't know. I've never
Anyway,
I've never watched it.
that was good. Um, I'm just trying to think. Didn't you have a friend in Australia who was like Team Nicole?
Oh yeah,
Like
Ian.
really
Ian
like
was
the
Team
super
Nicole.
fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and because I don't know why, but she, you know, I suppose it's that tall poppy syndrome of where somebody from where you're from becomes famous, and then you sort of want to tear them down. Like Nicole got quite a bit of stick in Australia but I think her acting used to get derided quite a bit. But I think as she's sort of gone through her career, I mean, she's won Academy Awards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's become more known as sort of this legacy actor. But what year would you think Dead Calm came out, if you had to guess?
If I had to guess, I would say 93.
It was 1989.
Really?
Can you
Wow.
believe it was that
God.
long
So
ago?
that was a long time ago.
And I remember it was she was really sort of touted as like the next big sort of great hope in Australian cinema because it was at the same time there was a mini series that she was in that like won all the ratings and won all these awards called Bangkok Hilton.
That was really good. And that was the first time I really knew who she was. It was the first thing I think I ever saw her in.
Yeah.
That was very good, Bangkok Hilton.
Yeah. But I mean, she's been in so much stuff. Like you can't even look at the.
But that's why I'm always amazed that she's. I mean, it's not. I'm not reading her. I'm just like surprised that she still does so much work because she surely can't need the money.
No.
And so I'm so amazed that somebody, I mean, she's older than you and I are. I know already. I'm not quite 50 yet, but
she's 57.
Yeah, and I'm like, I need time off.
Well,
I can't work with that intensity anymore. So,
like, I'll read this list out, and there are some of these. She's done so many movies that you and I have forgotten some that we've seen together. Okay, Eyes Wide Shut.
I never saw that.
Moulin Rouge.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, that was one of her biggest, and we saw that.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
The Hours.
Yes, I've seen that.
Dogville.
Mm-hmm.
Cold Mountain. Birth. Australia with Hugh Jackman.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Paperboy, Beguiled, Destroyer, Bombshell. I mean, so many.
Oh yeah, Bombshell was good. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you forget, don't you? Like she can't have had a single year where she wasn't in something since 1989 or beyond.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes like she's in like 6 movies in a year.
Yeah.
She was in that Killing of a Sacred Deer movie that Hill says it's one of his favorite movies, but I've never seen it.
I've not seen it. I don't know anything about it.
And that guy Barry Keoghan who was dating Sabrina Carpenter, he was in it, and Colin Farrell was in it as well, and Alicia Silverstone.
Oh,
but
wow.
yeah, I've never seen it, but yeah, Practical Magic, Batman Forever, that was it. Far and Away. I mean, so much stuff. Oh, another one we saw together, The Others. That spooky ghost
the horror.
movie.
Yeah. And that's just film. I mean, then there's TV as well. Like she's done some TV stuff. Maybe the TV stuff is more recent. I mean, obviously at the beginning of her career.
Well, that miniseries we just spoke about from 1989.
I mean, BMX Bandits was how she got her break, wasn't it?
And that
Am I imagining it? Isn't she in a Kylie video or a Danny video?
I don't think so.
I think she is. Do you want to do some live research?
But what? What would she possibly be?
I can't remember. I'm sure she is in an early Kylie or Danny Minogue video.
Why would you
we haven't mentioned the Minogue. We haven't mentioned the Minogue sisters in several episodes, I think. So it's a good. I would put money on it. I would bet money on the fact that she is.
Why would you think that?
Because I'm sure I've seen it. I'm sure I've. You're
not just thinking of the Moulin Rouge connection because Kylie played the absinthe fairy.
No. Like I'm sure she was in an early music video for one of the Minogue sisters.
I can't see that there, but that gets us to the point of how fucking bizarre that Nicole Kidman had like a massive hit in the UK with that duet with Robbie Williams.
Oh yeah. And why did that happen? Was that from Moulin Rouge? No. He wasn't in that, was he?
No, it was around that time.
Was it from a film? Did they do a film together?
No. It was around the time where he was doing those swing albums, where he was trying to give it all this like crooner vibes, like Swing When You're Winning or whatever it was called.
I'm just going to do some live research to continue. I'm just going to, because I'm sure.
telling you that I don't think there is a connection
I'm gonna have
other than Moulin Rouge. But talking about people being working relentlessly until they're old, how about Cher performing at this Saturday Night Live 50th?
I know, right?
Have you
Incredible.
actually watched her performance?
I've watched a snippet. Like I watched a snippet.
Did she appear to
Um,
be singing live?
I couldn't tell. It sounded very good, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
How old is um how old is Cher?
Isn't she? I think she's similar age to my mum. I think she's 78.
Yeah, she's 78.
Yeah.
So to
Right.
me that's just wild. And um also from that Saturday Night Live, not to, I mean, we talked about live sort of award show or TV performances in one of our earlier episodes,
Hmm.
but that um, some of those performances were kind of interesting. But I've spoken about this before. I really, really do not find Saturday Night Live funny. Like it is so
No,
uninteresting to me, and
I,
so
we've
I
said
don't
it,
even.
haven't we, on here before? Like,
Yeah,
you just like that type of humor. It's so obvious, and there's such a lack of like nuance, or and it sounds really snobby to say it, but just it's really basic,
yeah,
and it's interesting because 30 Rock, I think, is really good. I think 30 Rock is a brilliantly written comedy show.
yeah.
And even though it was modelled on Saturday Night Live and had some of the same writers, I find it infinitely better than the actual inspiration.
Yeah, just those skits are like not funny, and I don't know if it's like an American sense of humor or sensibility that I just
Yeah,
don't get.
possibly, possibly.
Because you know Matthew Bretterman, who is a big Madonna fan,
Yeah, I know the
he has
name.
that Encyclopedia Madonica or whatever
Oh
that he
yeah,
wrote, and he's
yeah.
a huge, really sort of within the world of super fans or stans of Madonna.
Hmm.
He's like one of the biggest Madonna fans, and he's met her, and he's from New York. He posted about. Do you remember when Madonna was on Saturday Night Live with Roseanne doing a skit way back in the 80s?
What when yeah, like she's only done it once, hasn't she? Or
No, she was on another time where with her and Gaga, remember?
oh yeah, no, yeah,
But
yeah. I'm
one,
thinking of the '80s one. It was just after she had gotten married to Sean Penn,
yeah, probably around the
and
time of Shanghai Surprise.
Simple Minds with a musical guest, I think, for that
And
episode.
and anyway, one or two of the skits she was on, she was in the show.
Hmm.
But he said, "Oh, this is the best, funniest thing that's ever happened on Saturday Night Live," and I'm like, it is so unfunny.
Yeah.
Like I cannot actually believe that anyone would think it was funny. But I find a lot of humor that people in the US celebrate or hold up is to me just it doesn't even hit me in any way. Like
Mm,
the American version of The Office,
yeah.
I find so deeply unfunny.
Yeah. And
Whereas
the
I
same
find
with
the U
the American version of Kath and Kim. It's just not.
well that was just a car crash of a TV show. Or like Hill really enjoys watching Modern Family, and when I watch it over his shoulder, I'm just like, is this actually made for somebody to laugh at? Like I don't
I've never
find it
watched
funny.
it.
Yeah, I don't find it funny at all. But he thinks I'm just being like obstinate or like difficult, not laughing at it on purpose. But I sit there and I have no emotional reaction to it because it is so unfunny.
Hmm.
Um, but what other performances did you see from that Saturday Night Live thing? Did you
What
see any?
that Cher was on?
Yeah, the 50th. Did you see
No, I mean,
Gaga performing?
no,
So
no.
she performed Shallow on the piano.
Okay.
But she also sang one of these stupid comedy songs with Andy Sandberg called Dick in a Box. Oh, it is so unfunny. And I just cringe at it. And, someone like Gaga, I mean, she just doesn't even have that sort of self deprecating thing. She takes herself quite seriously a lot of the time.
Hmm.
And so it's even more awkward. Or Pedro Pascal was doing a comedy song with Bad Bunny. And I was just like, oh, this is unbearable.
Yeah, I find it all often it's just so ill thought out and just it doesn't hit the mark for me. So
The
yeah.
funniest thing I saw from it was Sabrina Carpenter did a duet with Paul Simon.
All right.
And somebody tweeted a picture of that saying, oh, Art Garfunkel's really looking good lately.
That is good.
And that's the funniest thing out of that whole special that I
Was
could think
not
of.
actually on the show, yeah. Okay. Wow.
And it was somebody else making that joke. But have you heard the sad news about the Kathy Burke podcast?
Oh, where there's a will, there's a wake.
Yeah.
Why are they? Is it ending?
No, she's quit.
Oh, really?
And they're going to try and keep it going. I saw a tweet from her this morning, which
Oh,
I, in
wow.
a parasocial frenzy, responded to, telling her how special it was. But she said, oh, I was only signed on to do 20 episodes, and now that I've done 100, it's time for me to move on. And then there was a tweet from the show's producers that she had retweeted saying, yeah, new host to be announced soon.
Really? Wow.
Kathy.
Surprised they're going to do it with someone else.
Well, I suppose it's probably built up a really strong audience. And after 100 episodes, it even without Kathy Burke, I mean, the format of the show, the concept of it is quite entertaining.
Yeah.
In a very sort of like non-demanding way. You don't have to really think too hard to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm quite, not sad is the right word, but I don't know if I'd listen without her unless it was somebody else that I kind of had.
It'd have to be somebody whose personality you had, you were endeared to.
Yeah, I want to already have that relationship with them because with her it was like so easy to just fall into that because she felt like an old friend, you know.
I was just listening to the Dawn French audiobook this morning when I was out on a walk, and she talks a lot about, because they're good friends, her and Kathy Burke, and she was talking about Kathy Burke in some of it. And I mean, Kathy Burke just does seem like such a genuinely, I mean, that podcast is very good, where there's a will, there's a way, but even just some of her other performances over the years have just been so funny, so good. Like in that show, Gimme, Gimme, Gimme.
Yeah,
that is just every moment she's on screen is just brilliant.
It is infinitely quotable.
Yeah.
It's a shame that James Dreyfus turned out to be such a transphobe. And
did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's like a real turf. And
really?
Yeah.
Oh, how disappointing.
Is that his name, James Dreyfus?
I think so, yeah.
Like he went on to be on that show with Sybil Shepherd, that sitcom.
What? Not Sybil? That was...
Yeah. Was that it?
Was he on Sybil?
He was like the gay... He would sit there playing the piano in her apartment and wisecracking to her. And who was that character?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, I don't remember much of Sybil apart from Alicia Witt.
Here, let me have a look.
Obviously, Christine Baranski.
I once saw him coming down the escalator at Westminster Station.
Oh, yeah.
But this was before I didn't like him. Let me have a look what he was in. What do you remember Kathy Burke's character's name in Gimme, Gimme, Gimme?
No. What was it?
Linda Hughes.
Linda, yeah. The funniest scene I think from that was when I'm guessing it's James Dreyfus goes to her flat or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, I met a man on the street. He told me I was beautiful. I was going to be a model," and like just the way she delivers it, it's so brilliant, and the physical comedy of it is so good. Oh, it's outstanding.
Okay, well, this is one time where incident where live research has paid off because I would have got it completely wrong. It wasn't the Sybil show; it was the Bette Midler sitcom. Do you remember? I think it was just called Bette.
Yeah, I don't. I think I maybe saw one episode, possibly.
I can remember once we were on
rings a
vacation in Los Angeles, and we were driving near lots, and there was a massive billboard there announcing, bet coming soon. And I think it was one of these shows that we tried to get tickets to go and see
Yeah,
them,
I
but it
think
had
so.
been cancelled before we got around to it.
Can we
Um,
talk about can we just quickly talk about Pamela Anderson, because she was at the BAFTAs last night. And I haven't seen. I really want to see the film she's in, Showgirl.
yeah,
Showgirl, singular or Showgirls? I think
the
it's
last.
singular.
It's called The
The
Last
last.
Showgirl.
That's it. The last Showgirl. I really want to see that.
Yeah,
But I want to see it at the cinema, so I'll have to see if it's playing anywhere. But I mean, I love Pammy.
yeah,
She's so fantastic. She's such a great advocate for animals as well.
yeah.
And I just love that she's said that she's just not going to wear makeup anymore. I think it's so brilliant to just be like, fuck you to the whole sort of beauty industry and to society's expectations about how people should look, particularly obviously women and women over a certain age, that she's just been like, no, do you know what, fuck you, and just I'm not going to wear makeup anymore. I
I
think
think
it's so refreshing.
what's so like attention grabbing about it is the sort of person that she is. She is known for being that sort of really heightened glamour,
Yeah,
like makeup, physical appearance,
yeah,
like
yeah.
breast implants. She's known as that hypersexualized, hyper feminine woman.
Mm, mm-hmm.
That be, I mean, I don't think she would mind somebody saying that's kind of why she became famous,
Yeah,
through things like
yeah.
Playboy and Baywatch.
Mm-hmm.
And she tried to, I think, in a way, reclaim some of that. And then I think she just is a maverick. Like, she just does whatever the fuck she wants to do now. And she's lived through that. She survived it.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of maybe the first sort of like pornographic home video leak thing with Tommy Lee,
Oh
that
yeah,
she survived. I
yeah.
mean, she really has been through the ringer, and she's been
Mm-hmm.
married to some complete lunatics as well, like really
Yeah,
horrible people.
yeah.
But yeah, she is amazing. Like, I told you that I've got a ticket to see Barbed Wire at the
Mm-hmm.
Prince Charles
Mm-hmm.
Cinema. Yeah, I just love her. Like, I think that she is fascinating. She's inspiring. Do you remember when she did a song with Bryan Adams,
Yeah,
like the
when you're
cover of
gone.
that Mel C song?
Well, that was Mel C and Bryan Adams as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
She was just doing Mel C's part in it. Yeah,
yeah, because I don't know why.
and
Maybe because they're both
because they're both
vegan
vegan, and I think it was a
and they're both
fundraiser.
Canadian.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love Pammy. I haven't seen The Last Showgirl, and I haven't really seen it advertised.
No.
I've seen a lot about it online,
Hmm.
but I haven't seen like any sort of showtimes for it.
No. I really, yeah, I do want to see. I want to see it in the cinema as well. I'm going to have a look and see where it's on, if it's on.
What is the next movie that you've got tickets for?
I don't think I've got tickets for anything. Do I? No, no. What about you? Is it Barbed Wire?
Probably just Barbed Wire. I can't
Hmm.
think of anything else. I
I want to see. Oh God, what's it called? Anora.
Okay.
Because I really like, and she just won a BAFTA last night for Best Lead Actress.
Can we
Um,
can we what's her name? This person?
Mikey something, I can't remember her
Oh,
last
I don't
name.
know
Yeah.
anything about it. But can we laugh about how much we dragged Emilia Perez and now it's winning these awards? Like, Zoe Saldana has won like
Was that Best
four,
Supporting Actress or
yeah,
something
like
last
she's
night?
won like three or four different major awards for it. And I'm like, well, she wasn't terrible, but
No, her
the movie was
performance wasn't awful,
terrible.
but the film's fucking horrendous.
Like, I don't
Um,
think anyone was that terrible that they shouldn't be in movies, but the
well,
script was so terrible.
yeah, I don't know. Selena Gomez was.
I don't know. She was just nothing. She was just there.
I thought she was pretty awful. I'm sorry, sorry, Selena. I'm sure she's not watching, but
She's can't. She's a billionaire, right?
well, everyone's a fucking billionaire now, aren't they?
Well, not me.
Well, you know what I mean. Like like billionaire used to be like such a sort of prestigious thing, and it's just now it just is like billionaire is the new millionaire.
Well, it's become. Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it's a lot of money, but I think for celebrities, when they reach this level of like Beyonce or Madonna or Selena Gomez, it's like it's kind of it used to be, oh, I've got to win a Grammy or I've got to win an Academy Award. It's just become an accolade almost. Like it's not about being a billionaire because that's more money than you could ever use. It's just like a signpost of a successful career now for a lot of celebrities. And
Right.
so, I think Selena Gomez made hers through makeup.
How
Like
do you
she's got
sell
a,
that much makeup to
she's
become a
got well,
billionaire?
I mean, that's what Kylie Jenner also became a billion. I think she was the youngest billionaire through selling makeup, and a little bit of money from being a horrible reality TV show with her, like Nightmare Family. But
Mm,
it was mostly through makeup, and
okay.
the same with Rihanna. I think is a billionaire through makeup and her lingerie line. She has her
Mm,
own lingerie line and Kim Kardashian is a billionaire, I think, through her
underwear.
underwear line, Skims,
Mm,
or whatever it's
hmm.
called. And I think if you were that level of famous and successful, I suppose that's kind of what else are you going to aim for? Like if you're, I mean, I don't think it's
I mean,
right.
I don't know. After last week's episode, I wanted to try and keep it somewhat lighthearted this week because, yeah, like I think we could just go down another rabbit hole about just how fucked we all are if we keep holding up wealth as the single
Uh-huh.
most sort of defining thing that everyone should be aiming towards is capital wealth.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Um,
I obviously don't think that's what people should be aiming for, but I think that might be part of the mentality or the psychology of what
yeah,
these people are doing. But do you know the comedian Bill Burr?
I know the name. Yeah, bit double R.
Burr.
Yeah.
He went on a podcast the other day and said billionaires should be killed. He said there's no reason for them to exist, and
Well,
they
I,
create problems for working class and poor people.
I agree in the sense that they should be given the option to either give away their wealth. They let them keep £50 million or dollars or whatever. Like you could survive on 50 million, and the rest should be given away. And I agree that I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again because last week's episode was so depressing. But yes, I agree that it should be a crime punishable by death to accrue. No, I'm against the death penalty, but just theoretically to accrue that sort of wealth, there is no moral justification for it.
Yeah, because also, what are you going to do with that money? Like,
Right.
what could you possibly do with $1 billion or
Mm.
£1 billion that you is going to increase your happiness or um, like quality of living more than having
Well,
50
exactly,
million pounds with
exactly.
like it's not possible
Yeah.
unless your dream was to live, I don't know, in a building under the ocean, or you want to go to Mars, or and you needed that amount of money to do it. There's no other reason
Mm.
why you need that amount of money, and it is about ego, and it is about saying you've done it.
Yeah.
And then you get these people like Lone Scum, and I don't know. We never came up with a anagram for the owner of Amazon, did we?
No.
Feb
Beth.
for Feb for
Beth
Feb
Jez.
Zobies
Beth Jezos. I don't know.
for
Fucking hell.
Feb
Who knows?
Zobies.
Um.
Like it's like these idiots are in a race to outdo each other now because that's all they've got. So
Yeah.
they
Well,
become
that's it. Like, look at Lone Scum. Like, he wasn't content with buying and destroying Twitter.
Mhm,
He then decides to endear himself to Dump. And
mhm.
I mean, we can actually. I wanted to ask you about Twitter, or X, it's now called. I wanted to ask you about that in a minute. But, you know, why does he feel he's never really been that interested or invested in politics until about 2 or 3 years ago? And then suddenly he seems to, and it's about power and ego, isn't it? Because
Not only
when you've got infinite funds, when you
yeah,
have no need for money for the rest of your life, then you think, Oh, what else? What other sense of power and superiority can I get? And that's political power, and
But I
it's
think someone like Lone Scum is also acts out of vengeance and retribution and acts like punitively towards people. So I believe that some of the things that he's promoting as an agenda are because of people who have personally slighted or he feels have crossed him in his life.
okay.
So he has a he has trans family members,
Hmm.
and for some reason they don't like him. And you have to wonder, like, how much of what he's trying to do publicly and on a global scale is him just acting out petty personal grievances against people that
Mm.
he feels either have wronged him or made him look like an idiot or held him up to be the bigot that he is.
So, can we talk briefly then about Twitter? Because we've talked about it a bit on this podcast, but then you wrote a blog post, was it last week, I think, or maybe just a few days ago,
Yeah.
questioning whether the time had come to actually finally come off of that platform. And what did you decide? Did you decide to come off, or?
Well, no, I haven't. So I'm still questioning whether I should stay. And I saw a tweet actually from someone the other day who said, why should we leave? Like, we were here before him. This is a community of people, and most of us care and look out for each other, and we use it to um, build social capital, even if it's in the digital world. Why should we surrender this space that we've invested like a decade and a half of our lives to,
Mm.
when this person will probably not outlive this platform, or their association with it will not outlive it? Can we hold on to it and reclaim it? And
Which
so I'm like,
is
I don't
fine,
know.
but the problem is that it's like you said in your blog post, it's so problematic. It's
Yeah, yeah.
I tried to, because we had an old account for the vegan beer fests, and I tried to get back in because I think it's been hacked or something, along with
Oh,
your the great hacking of 25.
my
Um,
entire life has been hacked.
so I was trying to get back in, and it would just feed me when I downloaded the app and tried to get back in, and it would just feed me, like you said, such horrific content.
Mm-hmm.
So it would just be people fighting, like punching each other in the head,
Oh, that's so
people
horrible.
people having like car crashes, like um people getting electrocuted. I mean, it is so dystopian and awful. And why, you know, what you were just saying about that person saying, "Oh, we built this community," that's all fine, but I don't want to see any of that content. Like, why should I have to see that content on an app? You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And so that's why I can't use it anymore, because all you do is get fed content. And I'm not a sociologist or a psychologist, but you don't have to be either of those things to know that exposing people to images, to videos of such violence and expressions of hatred
Mm-hmm.
is so damaging
Yeah.
to us on an individual level, but more importantly, it's so damaging to us on a societal level and on a collective level, that it's you know, for lack of a better term, it's actually evil. You know, I don't know. There's probably a more intellectual way of expressing that, but to me, it just manifests or it presents as just pure evil. And I'm convinced that the directive has come from Lone Scum himself to, you know, make the algorithms feed that content to people. I don't
Yeah.
exactly know what his agenda is, but it's horrible and horrific.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I,
I also feel that the more that I protest with the tools that the site has, saying like marking things as I'm not interested in this,
yeah,
if your
this is
post
inappropriate.
block,
Hmm.
I feel like I'm being punished for doing that by getting more content that isn't
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So it's either they're idiots and they don't know how to work the algorithms, or he's not paying people, because he fired a lot of people and he fired
yeah,
people on their safety teams and all of this.
yeah.
And so it's either not working the way it should, or it's working the way
No,
he intends.
no, it's purely intentional,
And
purely intentional.
I
And
mean, it's stuff like, you know, uh, someone will be saying something about how great Donald Trump is, and then I'll look at their profile and they'll be like, Putin's biggest fan living in Poland. And I'm like, I don't even know if this is real. And it is
No,
that
probably not.
sort of extreme,
But
unhinged.
it's so scary and so dangerous that people don't have the critical thought or critical analysis to think about the things that are presented to them. And I know that sounds very snobby and judgy, but it's dangerous. It's to have that social medium in the hands of somebody so nefarious and so evil, for lack of a better term. I mean, it's and what is even scarier is that that's just Twitter, or X as it's now known, and now he's working so closely with the US government. And think of the damage he's going to inflict there. I mean, it is absolutely terrible. If I was living in the States right now, I would be absolutely fucking terrified about the state of things. I mean, it's scary enough for us being on the other side of the Atlantic.
Yeah.
But for people living in the US...
Look what's going on with Ukraine. And, like, Donald Trump is so... What's the word? Like, inflammatory or incendiary? You know what I mean? Like, he is, like, pushing something that is obviously a very delicate situation that's been going on for years. He's pushing it, hurtling towards an even greater conflict that might suck in all of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so irresponsible.
Then look at his intervention into Gaza, and how that nearly derailed the ceasefire. It's like you say, like it's a case of people who have just achieved such material wealth in life. Although, I mean, I'm not sure Trump really has that much, but or didn't perhaps before he went into politics. But it's like people have just gotten bored. So it's bored rich people who are like, okay, what else can I do to make myself feel important now? I'm never going to have to worry about money again. Let me just fuck the world up. Let me feed violence and killing into the lives and minds of millions of people around the world, billions of people around the world.
Well, like many mental health experts believe, a lot of our behaviors and our patterns of behavior stem from childhood trauma, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you could probably just look at like Dump's relationship with his father, who's also a monster, or Lone Scum's relationship with his racist, Nazi-loving, I don't know, apartheid-supporting father.
Yeah.
Like, these are dysfunctional relationships that have created dysfunctional humans, but on an extreme degree. But talking about social media, I cannot get my old YouTube account back.
Yeah, we were just talking about this the other day.
So YouTube was purchased by Google a certain amount of time ago. And if you've got a pre-Google YouTube account and you want it back, you have to be able to remember the email, either the name of the channel and the password that you used to log in. If you can't remember both of those things, there is no way that you can get that account back. Now, that account of mine is still online. You can go and still watch those Sean E. Julio cooking videos, but I can't delete them. They're there forever. So even if I wanted to remove them, I can't.
Wow.
If I used to use that song by Color Me Wednesday as the theme song of those cooking videos. If they said to me, hey, we don't want that online anymore, I can't get it down. I don't know if they would be able to put a copyright infringement notice to YouTube.
They could probably have it taken down, but that wouldn't get you access back into that account.
It wouldn't give me access. And also there were other videos that used to be published that I had hidden, with the intention of maybe, bringing them back one day.
Yeah.
I can't ever access those videos again now. And I can't delete that channel. And I can't use that name. So that channel was called Fat Gay Vegan. I can't use that name now for a YouTube channel.
Can you employ like a password buster app or something. I don't know. I don't know how these things work,
No,
if they work.
it wouldn't work. There's no way. Like, do you know, like, you know how this is what happens the with social media and all of our digital accounts and our digital footprint now. I
hmm.
have a spreadsheet now, which will probably get hacked, with all of my passwords on it.
Oh,
And
really?
there are about
I don't
50.
think that's safe.
Well, it's in the cloud, right? It's not on my.
That's even less safe.
No, well, I don't. Where else am I going to keep it?
But can't you can get password keeper apps, which
Well,
are like,
how is that safer than Google
well,
Drive?
because that has like 2-step or 5-step whatever verification to
Yeah,
get
but
into. So,
My Google account has two-step authentication as well.
hmm.
Like to log into my Google account, you need two-step verification. But
Yeah, I
I
suppose.
can't
But
physically write down 60 passwords that are constantly changing as well.
yeah,
And so it used to be, I used in bad practice, I used to use the same password for everything. But since the great hacking, I have to use like different passwords. And even since I've been hacked, I've even had to change the passwords again because I'm like reclaiming sites. And so they'll send me say, hey, we noticed there was this weird activity,
hmm.
suspicious activity. Please change your password again. So I'm constantly changing the passwords, and I've got about 60 different accounts. So I've got banks, and I've got email accounts, I've got multiple social media accounts, I've got credit cards, I've got, like health insurance and
Modern life.
government tax.
Modern life is rubbish. You
Right?
know, there was that Blur album, Modern Life is Rubbish.
Yeah.
I don't
So,
know if they borrowed that from someone, but it's true.
well,
Modern life.
wasn't it a name of a Marx Brothers movie? Or am I imagining that? Was it like an
Maybe,
old black and white movie?
possibly.
But so, I can't like also now if I lost that access to that spreadsheet,
Yeah.
I then have to go back and try and reset all of those passwords again. But I don't know. I don't know what to do. How to manage this? How do you manage all of your passwords?
Um. Well, I don't know. I try and use the same one as much as possible. But
Which
then
you're not meant to do.
I know, but I mean, I don't know. It's a nightmare. I mean, I have things written on like notes, but I always like encrypt them, like
Yeah.
with my own version of encryption. So like I don't know. Like I'll give an example which isn't real, but like if I was going to say like tree, say if the password was tree, I might be like I don't know. I might say it in a different language. I might write it down in a different language, perhaps, and
In
then try and
Swahili.
try and remember that. Try to remember that I use another language. You know what I mean? Like I won't
Mhm.
write the actual password down. I'll write something that could be equated to it. Maybe
Like
I don't
you'll
know.
you'll write like Swahili foliage, and then that'll remind you that you wrote the word tree in Swahili.
Yeah.
But yeah, like how are you meant to track all of this? Anyway, I didn't know what I was talking about with that being a Marx Brothers film. The only thing I can find, there's a movie called Modern Life is Rubbish, but it came out in 2017, a
Oh,
long
so
time
yeah,
after the Blur album. So
yeah.
I'd imagine that this movie was probably named after the
Mm.
um
Well, modern life is rubbish, and I know that that sounds like I want to go back to like the good old days, which is not what I'm saying at all. But like I mentioned it to you the other day, didn't I? I went out. I took my mum out for dinner last week for her birthday, and it was just such a chaotic scene in the restaurant. They all the delivery drivers go to the back door of the restaurant, and we were sat near there, so the door kept being open, and it was so cold. And then the restaurant was completely overwhelmed with like they were understaffed and overwhelmed, and it was just chaos. And so they just kept closing the door because all the diners were complaining about the cold, and then all the delivery drivers were like banging on the door, and I don't mean just knocking, they were like trying to beat the door down.
yeah.
And I was just looking around and I was like, this is so unpleasant. Like, what is, and I don't blame any of the individuals involved. Like, everyone's just trying to fucking do their job. But it was just like such a good microcosm of how shit modern life is, and how we've advanced so much, haven't we? Like we've embraced technology and we've developed technology to do so many wonderful things, and yet going out to eat in a restaurant was just a fucking disgrace. And it puts you off actually going outside, because like modern life out there, and I know I sound like a grumpy old bastard when I
Mm-hmm.
say this, but driving as well, like driving, I don't know what it's like in other parts of the world, but driving in London is is just, it's gotten so chaotic and insane, um, that it's just, yeah, you just think, what on earth, what kind of dystopian nightmare are we headed into?
Well, let's check our privilege before we go too far. That you can afford a car,
Yeah, fair enough.
and but this is all symptomatic of the breakdown in society that we're talking about. That
Yeah,
you are in that situation in a restaurant where people are being paid minimum wage.
well,
They have
probably
horrible shifts.
not even being paid
They
minimum
don't
wage, you know.
have workplace protections. They work antisocial hours. The drivers who are coming in to pick up the food are paid even worse, have worse conditions, 0 hour contracts,
Mm-hmm.
no health, no sick days, no sick pay.
No.
It is, the supply chain is exploitative where the ingredients are coming from. Like, it is a nightmare. And we are a cog in the wheel of this nightmare of
Yeah,
existence.
we're just a cog in a terrible machine, and it's just hurtling us towards, I don't know. That's it. I mean, we spoke about it last week. Like, what's the plan? Who's sat down and thought, well, hang on, where is this all heading? What are we working towards here
Yeah.
collectively? And I don't think, and it just seems to be, oh, let's just survive and accrue more wealth and resources. Um,
So I I messaged my sister Michelle because I there's this YouTube video that I watch, YouTube series. It's like a podcast, or I don't know what. Yeah, I suppose it's a podcast. It's called the Brisbane Channel, and it's this
no, right.
guy doing local news from my home city of Brisbane. So each week he says, "Oh, the council in Logan has replaced these bins at the library," or "These new river cat ferries go along the river." And it's just interesting to me because it's where I'm from. I can't recommend anybody else not from Brisbane go and watch this.
Right.
But he was talking about some uh, like potential, what do you call it, when not when people go on strike, like industrial action
Hmm.
by Brisbane city bus drivers who were saying they weren't being paid enough. And he was talking about the drivers have announced if they don't get what they want, their next step in negotiations is to engage in malicious compliance. And I was like, what the hell is malicious
Ah,
compliance? And he explained in the video that they said that part of their existing workplace rules are that in between turning a bus around to restart the route again, they have to have a minimum of 4 minute break in
hmm,
between.
hmm,
But because they're often running behind because of traffic, they often just go to help keep all the services running smoothly. So their plan will be, we'll teach our bosses a lesson by
yeah,
enforcing the 4 minute break, which they should
yeah,
be having,
yeah.
but it will have a knock on effect. So it's this idea of doing something that you're allowed to do, but it's going to impact somebody in a
Mm.
way. And then I,
It's like the ultimate passive aggressive, right?
mhm,
Like
yeah. So
passag.
I mentioned it to my sister Michelle because she watches the Brisbane Channel. We laugh about it and we talk about it,
Okay.
and she gave me a hot tip. There's a Reddit. What do you call the pages on Reddit? They're
Thread. Reddit thread.
I don't think they're a thread. They're called something else.
They're not. Are you sure?
Anyway, whatever it is, there's one called Malicious Compliance, and it's everyone putting
No.
examples. So if you need a good laugh, get
Oh,
on there. But I
I
was
love a bit of
wondering
malicious compliance.
if you had any examples of this in your life. Like, I was thinking, it's funny that I mentioned Michelle, but I can remember once Michelle, when we were teenagers, Michelle banned us from playing her 7-inch vinyl single of Dancing Queen by ABBA. She banned us. And so she was in the shower and I found a record. It was like a disco compilation record that had Dancing Queen on it. And I put it on and turned it up as loud as I could, knowing that I was breaking the rules. But I knew it would wind her up, thinking that I was playing her 7-inch, and she came running, running out of the bathroom in a towel wrapped around her, wet, saying, "I told you not to play my fucking record." And I was so proud of myself. I held up the album cover that I was playing, and I said, "It's not your record, you idiot." And I grabbed the towel from her, and I was whipping her back into the bathroom with it, screaming that I wasn't. And so that was an extreme example of malicious, very malicious compliance. Can you think of any examples of anyone at your work?
I can think of a lot of examples over the years, particularly like in funnily enough, back in Brisbane, Australia, when I worked in a university there. I worked at a couple of universities in Australia. And at that one, the one I'm thinking of, there was just like, I was trying to help implement, it's so boring, but I was trying to help implement like a new procedure or a new system, which would have made things so much easier for students. Like it would have like really made their lives easier. But I got like a lot of pushback from the staff being like, well, no, it's not in our job description. You know, that sort of like, I would love to help, but I can't, you know, sort of thing. So I don't know if that quite qualifies as malicious compliance.
It's on that. It's in the same track, but it would be like something at work where your boss says you can't be a minute late, and so you know you can't come in at 9:01 if you start at 9. So you start clocking out at exactly 5 p.m. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so even if you're in the middle of a call with a client, you just say to them, "Oh, I'm sorry, I need to go." And you hang up, and then you pick your stuff up and you walk out because, I'm following the rules that you set out. We have to work only the hours we're paid. And so that's kind of a real obvious example.
Yeah.
I mean,
passive aggressive.
My whipping Michelle with the towel was maybe a bit more dysfunctional than just plain old malicious compliance. But, you know, the bus driver thing is a perfect example of like, we'll do this because that's what is in our contract, but you know this is going to impact the company. But I love it. It's such a good name. Imagine that as a drag name. Malicious
compliance. Yeah.
It's just such a good term, like those two words together, because they're juxtaposed so perfectly. Like it's malicious, but you're also doing what you're meant to be doing. And it is just so tasty and delicious. I love it so much.
Yeah, it is good. It's delicious.
Okay, well,
delicious compliance.
Yeah, delicious.
That would be a good drag name. Delicious compliance.
Or like a roller derby. I mean, a roller derby name could be malicious compliance, and the drag name could be delicious compliance.
Yeah.
The only other note that I had on my post-it note of things to talk to you about was relating back to that Saturday Night Live special. And it was, did you see Robin performing Dancing on My Own with David Byrne from Talking Heads?
No, I didn't.
How bizarre, right?
Yeah. Wow, I bet it was good.
Talking about people who keep performing and doing stuff into old age, but he must be getting up there as well, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, Talking Heads were an older band. You know what I mean? Like they had been around for a while.
Yeah.
So
this Saturday Night Live thing.
Yeah.
Was it just a celebration concert then? Like, was it
it was like,
or were there skits as well?
There were skits as well.
Oh,
and there were skits worked into songs, and then there were some just straight songs like Gaga singing Shallow.
Yeah.
But it was, I think, like the 50th anniversary or 50 years of the show or something like that. It's just not funny. It's just really not funny. But saying that, there have been some really terrific musical performances on the shows over the years. We talked about it in one of the very first episodes of this, where it was like a Janet Jackson performance that was incredible and it was very iconic. But
Chapel Roan was amazing on it.
Oh, yeah.
Really
for
good.
some reason, it seems to be a real sort of thing to aim for. Like, kind of like how Tiny Desk is now as well. Talking of, the Dochi Tiny Desk was incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing. Loved it so much. Anyway,
But yeah, I suppose
There's,
if you're a musician, you don't if you get offered to do Saturday Night Live, you don't really say no because it's just such good exposure and it's such a feather in your cap, isn't it? It's such a prestigious thing to be asked to do.
yeah. Also, it's nowadays, especially, I mean, nobody watches network TV, but those sorts of things get disseminated across digital platforms and
Hmm.
seen by up to hundreds of millions of people. So
Yeah,
it's a crucial, promotion for people. So
yeah, yeah. Um, I have to correct myself from a previous episode. So a few weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago perhaps, and I was complaining about when I'd been ill and I had to cancel my trip up north and I couldn't use my theatre tickets to go and see the Here You Come Again Dolly Parton spectacular thing. Um, I said on this podcast that the person who used my tickets didn't thank me. Anyway, I was corrected, and I apologize, Deborah. She had thanked me, but I thought I was emailing the person who was using the tickets, and it wasn't. I was actually just emailing the tickets to Deborah. So the person who used my tickets has never had any contact with me, and I've never had any contact with them. But they were grateful. So I apologize. Like I said to Deborah, I was just feeling grumpy and miserable because I didn't get to go.
do you know
So
how you used to say, "Oh, this isn't the content people come here for.
hmm
This is the content I come here for, is to see you with your towel between your
what
legs."
to see me eating humble pie.
I'd love some humble pie about now. But do you know, it could be one of the recurring segments where you issue on air apologies and
Well, I think you
corrections.
should issue an on-air apology to your sister Michelle for whipping her with a towel and goading her into thinking you were playing her forbidden ABBA 7-inch record.
And the funny thing is, all of the records that we have in our house, we, as teenagers, we had shoplifted 90% of them from charity shops. So we all deserve to be whipped with towels, really.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about that. But I've rescheduled my trip up to Leeds in March next month,
And
and
how are you intending to apologize and make it better with Deborah for the slander?
I've already apologized. But because the show, the Here You Come Again musical has moved on now, it's somewhere else. It's coming back to London actually. I think I might have to go and see it at the Wimbledon Theatre. But Anna and I are going to go and see a Dolly impersonator on Saturday night in Leeds, so that should be fun. I'm looking
Oh, this
forward to that.
weekend?
No, in March. In
Oh,
March,
okay.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. It should be a lot of fun. I don't know.
Where is it? Is it at the Irish Centre or?
It might be actually. I don't know. Maybe we don't have time now, but we should talk about tribute acts and some of the ones that we've seen.
Oh yeah,
Um,
sure. More Alanis set.
more or less. No, no, duh. Remember that one? No, duh.
No
Like
doubt.
that. No doubt.
No duh.
Um. Anyway, but yeah, that's maybe another
Oh,
episode.
oh yeah, you've got to tell that story about going out to. It
Oh my god, Pomona. No, not Pomona.
was like Rancho Cucamonga or something. I don't even
Maybe,
know where
yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Well,
have to
let's
talk
save
about
that
that.
for another time. Um, well, we should wrap up, but Sean, tell us what's going on with you and where people can find out more.
Well, people can find me on my blog, fatgayvegan.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and what's the other one? I can't remember.
Well, X.
Well, yeah, Facebook. I'm still on X. I'm kind of holding on, thinking that it might make a comeback. It might be like the abracadabra of, the social media world
Social
where
media.
people are like
Maybe
blown away.
maybe we'll all just become so desensitized to violence that it will just, be like water off a duck's back, we'll just be like, oh, I just need to quickly post an update and watch someone getting killed on my phone,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm seeing how long it takes for me to be brainwashed into becoming like MAGA culter. You
Your blog's having a bit of a resurgence, which is
Oh,
nice.
it's back,
Yeah.
back, baby. Yeah,
It's
I'm,
like a phoenix from the ashes.
and there are people commenting on it that used to comment on it 10 years ago who have still been reading it, and uh, uh, and somebody even wrote on Instagram, I know on Threads the other day saying, "Hey, I love your blog posts are back, and I'm so happy." And I was like, "Oh God, there was an audience for this."
That's good. Every hacking has a silver lining, perhaps.
Yeah. So where can people find you?
People can find me mostly on Instagram, Josh and the Jumpstarts. You can also listen to my music on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube. But yeah, please do add me to your playlists. Follow me as an artist, all of that sort of thing. It helps the algorithms and it tells Spotify that people are interested. So that's all I have to say about that. I'm just going to say I'm hosting the Queer Open Mic, obviously, that I do with you the last Sunday of every month at the Cock Tavern in Kennington. Mm-hmm. And I also have a new queer open mic starting in London in March. And that is the first Wednesday, which I think is the 5th of March. And that's in Greenwich, so southeast London. It's a beautiful riverside suburb, very historic. And it's a really cute little old pub called Ye Olde Rose and Crown. So, and
that's the night where we're having competing events. I'm running London.
Yeah, we're going head to head. I don't think we're drawing on the same audience really. So
no.
It's fine. But yeah, so that's starting in March. So come along to that, especially if you're in the sort of South or East London area. That's all I have going on really. Apart from that, I'm just waiting for spring.
Okay, well, I'm going to go up and think of some ways that I can act maliciously compliant.
Okay.
For the rest of the day.
I'm going to be deliciously compliant. I'm going to Google and see if I can find my evidence for Nicole Kidman being in a music video for Kylie when she was young.
It's not
and
true.
if I find it, I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
But you can join us next time here, wherever you're watching or listening, YouTube or Spotify. Please do subscribe so that you don't miss an episode.
Help us out. Like this, subscribe,
leave a comment,
notifications to get notified every time a new episode comes out.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we will be back in your feeds very soon, I hope. And until then, take care.
Bye.